to the deep dive. We take sources you send us, and, well, we dig right in to find the core insight.
Exactly. For you, the learner, we know you want those aha moments, that deep understanding, but without getting lost in the weeds.
Yeah, quickly and thoroughly. And today, wow, you've sent us some really fascinating material.
It's titled Monoatomic Æthric Fire, Hand Chakras, and Empathetic Bleeding in Crystal and Energy Work. Quite a mouthful.
It is. Our mission here is to kind of unpack these concepts, see how they connect, and give you a practical sense of it all.
And right off the bat, we should say, this isn't your typical physics lecture.
No, definitely not. We're stepping into the world of subtle energy, intuition, practices for self-awareness.
Think of it as exploring the unseen currents, the energies that shape our experience.
Okay, let's dive in. First up, monoatomic etheric fire, the flame within.
Right, and the first thing that jumps out is this description. A flame that does not burn.
Doesn't burn. Okay, intriguing. So, not literal fire then?
Not at all.
Yeah.
Think of it more like an inner catalyst, a spark of pure intention.
Ah, okay. The source says it doesn't provide energy but activates what's already there, right?
Yeah.
Latent energy.
Precisely. It's about awakening potential, not adding fuel from outside. A subtle but significant difference.
And it's not about forcing it either. No sheer willpower or big emotional surges.
You know, the source is quite clear. It arises from a state of inner alignment. You know, the kind you find in meditation, quiet ritual, maybe those liminal in-between states.
Stillness. Makes sense. And what about this monoatomic part? Sounds a bit scientific.
Well, in this context, it seems to point towards purity, indivisibility, like a fundamental essence.
Okay.
The text even links it esoterically to ideas like superconductive elements, things with like zero resistance, allowing pure potential.
So monoatomic signifies something fundamental, pure potential.
Yeah, that seems to be the idea. So this etheric fire is presented as this sort of indivisible intention light, something that brings coherence.
Coherence. Interesting. Okay, so what are its main characteristics? You said non-burning.
Right, non-thermal. You might feel warmth, perhaps a radiance, a vibration maybe, but no actual physical heat.
Got it. And conscious, what does that mean?
It means it responds to the clarity of your intention, your focus, rather than just how hard you push or will it.
So precision over force.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it's self-sourcing. It doesn't need an external battery pack, so to speak.
It comes from that inner alignment we talked about.
Yes. And finally, it's described as refining. It supposedly helps clear out psychic residue, energetic clutter, through a kind of silent resonance.
Silent resonance. Okay. The source mentions a practitioner's experience, too.
It does. Described as an internal rising, almost like a sacred breath through the bones.
Wow.
Often triggered apparently by crystals, specific breathing techniques, or just quiet, intentional ritual. It sounds very internal, very subtle.
Not some big flashy display. More of a deep inner shift. Okay, so that's the fire. How does it interface with us? This leads to the hand chakras.
Right, the gateways of energy. The source presents these really dynamic portals.
Yeah.
Often overlooked compared to the main 7 chakras, you know.
Located where? Center of the palms.
Center of each palm, yeah.
Yeah.
And their purpose is direct interaction with external energy fields.
Direct interaction. Like what?
Things like healing touch, focusing and shaping intention, sensing energetic fields, even something called psychic extraction.
Psychic extraction. Okay, that sounds intense. But basically, our hands are constantly sending and receiving energy.
That's the idea. When they're open and balanced, they can direct that etheric fire with real precision.
Like a laser beam of intention.
Sort of, yeah. They help interface with crystals, scan for distortions in energy fields, regulate energetic exchange.
So, super important, but also potentially vulnerable.
That's the crucial point, especially for empaths. The source warns, if they're unguarded or sort of hyper-open.
Which brings us to empathetic bleeding. The open circuit risk. That doesn't sound good.
No, it really highlights the need for energetic boundaries. Empathetic bleeding is described as having porous boundaries, especially through these hand chakras.
So you just absorb stuff.
Unregulated absorption, yeah.
Yeah.
Other people's emotions, thoughts, maybe deeper psychic imprints.
Yikes. Is it like a psychic attack?
The source is usually not. It's more often about excessive openness, a lack of containment, your own boundaries being too permeable.
Okay, so unintentional absorption, like leaving your front door wide open.
A good analogy. And the symptoms listed are pretty relatable for some people, I think.
Like what?
Unexplained exhaustion after being around people, especially crowds.
Yeah.
Taking on others' negative moods or anxieties as if they're your own.
Oh, definitely felt that sometimes.
Or even physical things like numbness or tingling in the hands during, say, a confrontation or tense interaction.
Really? In the hands specifically?
That's what the source suggests, linking it back to those hand chakras. And it can cloud your own thinking, your own intentions.
Makes sense. You get filled up with other people's noise.
And here's the kicker.
Yeah.
Using that etheric fire we talked about can actually amplify this risk if your boundaries aren't solid.
How so?
Because the fire intensifies everything. If you're absorbing stray energies through leaky hand chakras, the fire might inadvertently ignite those energies within you.
Oh, wow. Leading to confusion, overwhelm.
Disorientation, feeling psychically overloaded.
Yeah.
It really underscores the need to contain and consciously direct the fire, not just let it flow unchecked.
Right. You need a valve, a regulator.
Yeah.
Okay, so how do we manage this? This leads to the crystals, crystal work, allies in the flow.
Yes. Crystals are presented here as resonance vessels, tools that can help manage this energy.
How do they help?
They can anchor the frequency of the etheric fire, help shape it. They can act as filters for distortion, help maintain clarity,
Okay.
and they naturally interface with the hand chakras, aiding both projection, sending energy out, and absorption, or maybe filtering what comes in.
So specific crystals for specific jobs.
That's the idea presented.
Yeah.
Clear quartz is mentioned as the amplifier.
For programming intention, magnifying the fire, maybe in the sending hand.
Exactly. Then hematite is the grounder. Helps stabilize the fire in your own system, protects against that empathetic bleeding. Good for the receiving hand, perhaps.
Grounding and protecting. I like that. What else?
Labradorite or black tourmaline are described as filters.
Filters. How so?
They help shield your boundaries, like putting up a protective screen, but still allow you to sense what's going on energetically. Useful in groups or emotional situations.
Protection without complete isolation. Makes sense.
And then there's malachite, called the alchemist.
Ooh, sounds potent.
It is. Used to draw out deeper stuff, old patterns, for the fire to transmute. But the source advises using it with care, with real intention.
Right, not one to just play around with. I like the idea mentioned of using different crystals in each hand.
Yes, creating balance. One hand for sending or amplifying, the other for receiving, grounding, or filtering. It suggests a very conscious approach.
Very intentional. Okay, so we have the fire, the hands, the risks, the tools. How do we put it together? The practice. Cultivating conscious connection.
Right, the practical application. It starts with activation.
Which involves
Finding quiet, focusing on breath, hands maybe on the heart or holding a crystal, and visualizing a cool white or blue flame rising from the chest.
cool flame, emphasizing that inner source again.
Exactly. Then, circuit opening. Opening the palms, feeling for warmth or tingling, visualizing light filaments connecting out.
Okay.
But, and this is key, only directing energy outward once you feel a sense of your own energetic containment.
Boundaries first.
Establish your container before you open the tap.
Yeah.
Got it. Then, application.
Gently placing hands over the area of focus could be energetic residue, a person, an object.
And then what? Blast it with fire?
No. The advice is to just allow the flame to hover, to inform the energy field. Wait, observe.
Observe for what?
Sensations of a shift, maybe a feeling of calm settling in, or what's called an emotional echo. It's gentle, responsive work, not forceful, subtle. Okay. And then completion. Can't just leave the circuit open.
Right. Close the palms gently into soft fists. Cross arms over the chest. Take grounding breaths. Sealing it off, and consciously thank the fire. Draw its essence back into your heart center, containing it safely. It's a full cycle. Open, apply, close, contain.
That feels like a very respectful and safe way to approach it. Protects the hand chakras.
Precisely. It emphasizes precision, conscious connection, which leads nicely into the final concept discussed, the path of subtlety.
Yes. This part really reframes things, doesn't it? It says true mastery isn't about big, flashy displays.
Not at all. The master of this etheric fire is often inconspicuous, carrying it quietly. Their power isn't in showing off.
It reminds me of that flame that doesn't burn idea. It's an inner quality.
Exactly. The source suggests they can bring about shifts, healing, clarity just through their presence, a subtle gesture, even a glance.
Wow. The energy itself does the work, transmitted subtly.
It seems so. And it circles back to balance.
Yep.
Too much fire, you burn yourself out. Too little, you stagnate.
It mentions the interplay of open hands releasing light and closed hands preserving it. That dynamic equilibrium again.
Yeah. These practitioners are called subtle architects of change. Their work isn't always obvious. The transformation they facilitate is the evidence.
So, summing up this whole deep dive, what are the key takeaways for you?
Well, we've seen this monoatomic etheric fire as a kind of inherent potential, that spark within.
Right. And the hand chakras as these vital, sensitive interfaces for working with energy.
Absolutely. Then there's the critical need to manage empathy, to maintain boundaries, avoiding that empathetic bleeding.
Super important. And crystals as helpful allies, tools for resonance and filtering.
Putting it all together, the message seems to be that working with this kind of energy is really about awakening your own inner light.
Becoming, as the source says, a torchbearer of the subtle realms. Not through drama, but through presence and intention.
Yeah, and I really like that final thought. The most powerful flame isn't the one that consumes,
but the one that reminds things of their own inherent nature, their own light.
Yeah. Exactly. A gentle, resonant power.
That's a beautiful image. So for you, the learner listening right now, maybe just take a moment today. How might you already be sensing subtle energies? You probably are, even if you don't label it. And what might it look like, feel like to cultivate a more conscious relationship with your own inner flame, however you understand that? Definitely something to think about. Thanks for taking this deep dive with us.